Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is October 31st, 2025. It's broadcast 1416. It's been more than 5.5 years of Torah every single day, finding each other from every corner of the world to say good morning to each other. Michelle and Tara, it's good to see you. Hi, Arlene. Hope that you're well. Let's see who else is here so we can greet each other as we have for a very long time. Fabrice, nice to see you. Sorry we missed each other in Tel Aviv. Lydia, welcome. Linda, Natalia, Jonathan, and Rosa, Boker Tov. John, my friend, I've missed you. Let's see who else is here. We'll take a moment so we can say good morning to each other and then begin with a bracha. Pastor Jim, nice to see you. Good to see you. Kate, Tara, Deborah, and Amy, Cynthia, Adrian, and Dale, Miriam, and Sunday. Shush, good to see you. Let's see if I missed anybody. I might have. If I missed you, please know you matter. I'm sorry that I did. Julie Ann, good to see you too. All right, let's take a breath. I haven't played this guitar in a while, and I did not check to see if it was in tune. Let's wish for the best. Here we go. Close enough. La 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 So good morning, everyone. It's good to be home. It is especially beautiful to be able to see my precious wife saying hello online, but we finally got to see each other after me being away for almost 2 weeks, which is just a long time. It's good to be home. And of course, that's a hard thing to say when you're returning from Israel, because leaving home behind to go home is a very complicated feeling. It is good to be back. Let's begin with just a little bit from the Parsha, and then I'd like to contextualize it and share some thinking. I'm imagining over the next week there will be a lot of things to talk about, but let's start with Torah. Let's keep grounded in what holds us together as a people. There's a lot to say about that these days, and we're grateful. We should be grateful to have such a rich treasure of a tradition and such sweetness between us that holds us all together. So there is a section in Lech Lecha, this week's Torah portion, that often gets overlooked because it isn't the center of it. Lech Lecha has many different facets, but there's a moment where Avram and Sarai and their family are traveling together, and their family includes Avram's nephew Lot. And there is a time before Avram has any children, and before Avram and Sarai, Abraham and Sarah at that point, have children, that Lot becomes a kind of surrogate child, a surrogate son. And even though we don't talk about it in these terms very often, Avram loses 3 children. He loses Yishmael when he banishes Yishmael, and he's a precious beloved child. He doesn't want to do it. He loses Lot, who before he has any biological children is his son. They travel together as a kin. and he loses Lot, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then with the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, we'll talk about this next week, he loses his biological child. Even though Yitzchak survives, something dies with the Akedah. We'll talk about that more next week. In this parsha, we hear a very strange verse. This is chapter 13, verses 5 and 6. I'll read them in the Hebrew and then the English. V'gam lelot haolech et Avram hayat tzon uvakar ve'ohalim. Lot, who went with Avram, also had flocks and herds and tents. And so it's not that Lot was dependent upon Avram. He had his own wealth, presumably because Avram shared his own. But Lot had stuff to his name. But he had so much stuff, verse 6, V'lo nasa otam haaretz lashevet yachdav. The land could not support them to stay together. Ki haya rechusham rav, because they had too much stuff. V'lo yachlu lashevet yachdav. They could not be together. Lashevet, to live together. So that's hard, because you might think that it's the scarcity of resources on the land that we're talking about, that there wasn't enough grazing pastures for their flocks, but that can't be true. That can't be true. There is a lot of stuff available to them, and as nomads, they could have coordinated it better. There was quarreling, says the next verse, between the shepherds of Avram's cattle and those of Lot's cattle. But what's interesting is in the last verse that I read, in verse 6, after it says the land could not support them staying together, then it says Ve'lo yachlu lashevet yachdav. They could not sit together. They couldn't reside together. We know when there are moments of togetherness, we sing things like Hine matovu manayim, how good and pleasant it is, Shevet achim gam yachad, when we can sit together. Most commentators read this in the literal way, that there wasn't enough grazing pasture land. But it is also possible that the redundancy at the end of the verse, that they could not be together, was a choice they were making, was an emotional truth. Now, Avram says, you choose wherever you want to go. And one of the criticisms of Avram in this moment is he should have fought harder to not let Lot go. We need each other. Here are some of the moments that have made me think about these verses. This past week, as you know, I was blessed to be a voting delegate for the 39th World Zionist Congress, an inheritor, a physical inheritor of the very same World Zionist Congress that Theodor Herzl began in the late 1890s in Basel, Switzerland. This is the 39th of that, and it was truly humbling. Now, not every moment was pleasant, so I want to make sure that we reflect that too. It would be so nice if all we had was Hine matov manayim, how beautiful it is when we can sit together. But having sat for 6 hours in the voting plenary, I can tell you, it is not always pleasant. We are a people that knows how to disagree and sometimes forgets the rules of loving disagreement. We can have fierce policy disagreements, but I watched some deeply disrespectful behavior within our community. And it tells me that Lot's inability and Avram's inability to work it out so that they could live together, that's something we're also carrying forward. We are a free people, and what a gift it is to see that fulfilled. We can fight about policy because we have power and there is something at stake. The vision of Judaism in the world that we have is worth fighting for, and we are blessed to be a free Jewish people, recovering from the wound of October 7th, and stronger than we've ever been. You might not feel that every moment, but in that room, I watched Jews duke it out, and I didn't like the way some of the fighting happened. It did get very testy. And it's kind of nice that we get to have these fights, because self-determination is not a monolith. We don't believe in one vision. But it is very important for us to acknowledge, as Valerie just said, that it is sad to witness disrespect at the World Zionist Congress. There's a lot of back-channel negotiations, the coalition building. You might have been following some of this in the news. But what I want to report is not only that that's true, and I think it's important to not deny it, but also that we are strong enough and self-determining enough, free, to disagree and to fight passionately for the Jewish future. We should do so as mensches. That's something we're going to have to work on. Lot and Avram didn't get it right. The World Zionist Congress didn't get it right. But there are other things we disagree about. Next week is going to be a very contentious election in New York City for mayor. And there are many people who are very agitated, fighting hard for their candidate of choice. It is a Jewish imperative to vote. And so I want to encourage you, if you're a resident of New York, to not sit this one out. Incredibly important. And I want to see if there's a way for us to not judge each other, for us to not attack each other. Yes, I have some pretty strong feelings here too, but one of those strong feelings is my sisters and brothers with whom I disagree deserve my love. They are my sisters and brothers, and I don't want them to go the way of Lot, choosing choice land and abandoning family. And I don't want to do that either. I stood at the baggage claim just a few hours ago with a very public figure with whom I've had some pretty public fights over the years. And we just talked for a minute. We actually, turns out, while we were waiting for our luggage, we watched the exact same movie on the flight. And we talked about that. We didn't talk about the policy issues that divide us. We actually just helped each other get our luggage off of the carousel, and we just laughed together, wished each other a Shabbat Shalom. And it was the first time in a long time that I'd stood with him. And I was thinking about the broadcast to come, because the other image in my eye is the opposite of this. Yesterday, on Thursday, there was a very, very significant protest, is a gentle way of calling it, but a chaotic takeover of Jerusalem by hundreds of thousands of Haredim. Some estimate that that's 200,000. Haredim is, for lack of a better term, ultra-Orthodox. It's not quite that, and it's not one thing, but the different sects of the Haredi community in Israel mostly agree that they do not want to serve in the army. And given that the IDF has fought to defend all of Israel and is truly overtaxed, the reservists that I've met have been in Miluim, in reserves, for hundreds of days over the last 2 years. And the exemption, the historic exemption for yeshiva students, should not apply to hundreds of thousands of people who clearly can mobilize and show up, as they did in Jerusalem, climb scaffolds and cranes. There was a tragic death of a young boy who, in the Haredi community, climbed up and fell, and we don't understand yet the details there. But I was heading to the train to see my sister in Tel Aviv, and to see the Haredim coming into Jerusalem, so they're going up the escalator, and going down the escalator was a huge group of soldiers in uniform, ready to defend the people. And they're going literally, metaphorically, physically, right past each other. The Chayalim will defend all of Am Yisrael, no matter what their political persuasion. The Haredim believe that they are championing the people Israel, but the way that they showed up was deeply disrespectful. And they're our sisters and brothers. I'm not calling them out for their beliefs, but I am saying that there's a way that we have to conduct each other, or some of us will end up going to Stone and Amorah like Lot did. That's not okay. It's not okay. We have an obligation, friends, to learn how to be Am Yisrael again. And the fight that will now happen in the state of Israel, given that the war is technically over, though we have 11 beloveds still awaiting proper burial, their bodies are still being held by Hamas. We have to learn what this parsha demonstrates we didn't know then, and we really don't yet know now. How to stay together even when there are many decisions that need to be made in order for it to be the case. I'm going to show you. It's not the same thought, but I was blessed at the World Zionist Congress to spend some time with Miluimnikim, young women and men who, actually not all young, who are in reserves, Yuval Shalish is the name of an artist that I met, a photographer, and there's a whole display organized by an organization called ESEC, which means business, to help small businesses so that those in Miluim who aren't really able to make a living because they can't work steadily in their jobs or start families. It's very, very serious stuff. So it helps them start small businesses that they can run even while they're serving. So Yuval Shalish is a photographer, and an image that he captured on film really grabbed me. I want to show it to you. Hold it up here. I'm going to hold it up here so you can see it too. Now, Yuval Shalish is this really sweet guy. He served for 350 days. He's actually in Miluim right now, but he was able to come and be part of the exhibit. He wrote a poem to explain the image. But before I read the poem, I want to connect it to this part of the Parsha. Thank you, Valerie, for sharing the link. Avram and Lot couldn't stay together. Yuval Shalish and the countless young women and men of Tzahal, of the IDF, who are fighting hard to keep us safe, really just want to be together with us too. And I know that there are a lot of opinions about the war. This image, I'll show it to you again, made me think about many images of Vietnam veterans. No matter what your opinion was about the Vietnam War, even if you were involved in the protests, these young men, for the most part in America, and for the most part in Israel, though, not only, we need to hold them close. We need to hold them close. And we can't let some of us walk away. And we can't let those who would choose to walk away. We can't. There aren't so many Jews in the world. And there are enough things that we have to disagree about. We have to find a way to do it with respect and in the family. It's very hard. It's very hard. So I know my thoughts are all over the place, but I just got back from Israel and I was all over the place. I saw unbelievable light in people's eyes, a sense that we've turned a corner, and just yesterday, 2 beloved hostages were brought home for burial, and there are 11 still waiting. I went through the departures hallway at Ben Gurion Airport, and it was almost empty of all those signs. But there were still 11 souls whose bodies deserve proper burial. This war has changed us. Even if people were out at cafes, living, loving, building, bumper stickers with fallen soldiers are everywhere. In Bait She'en Shamet, there's no place, no household that isn't touched by loss. The hostage families, those who have been returned alive, that's going to take countless years of healing. We're up for it. But we have to know that this image captures a lot of it. Even when we have to fight, look how human and beautiful we are. Look at the artist's eye that captured this. This frame was also handmade by someone in Miluim. Look at the way that we try to retain our humanity. And hear this beautiful poem written by Yuval Shalish. If anyone, Valerie, you seem to know where the links are. If you can find Yuval Shalish's website and share it on Facebook, that would really be lovely. This is his poem, Coffee for the Road, because if you look closely at the image, they were using a finjan to make coffee in the field in Gaza. But I just saw their faces. And this poem says it. Coffee for the road? I asked Nof, my gunner. We were sitting by the tank hidden between the bushes so no one could spot us, waiting for the order. Get in the tanks, we're moving on. There was a time to kill. So we sat on the ground, drank the blackest coffee, laughed and talked. We'd become so close during the war that there isn't a person alive who understands me more than he does. For a moment, we even forgot we were at war. Nof is a chef, and we planned the end-of-war meal he would cook, and I would photograph. Gaza border, 2024. Friends, 2 years and almost a month ago, the world reminded us that no matter how much we disagree within our family, we are one in their eyes. We have to make sure, especially in light of this parsha and the kind of losses that happen in the book of Breshit, we have to make sure we're not willing to lose each other. We have to fight for each other, and sometimes we have to remind each other that it's all of us on the line. We all have to show up. So I want to bless us for this Shabbat, for Shabbat of Lech Lecha, a Shabbat of journeying, a Shabbat of journeying as a family, a Shabbat of taking risks. I want to remind us of the costs of these kinds of decisions. There's a lot on the line. What a gift it is to be Am Chofshi B'Artzeinu, a free people in our homeland, trying to get it right. Sometimes we have to hold each other accountable. It's not easy. Here in New York, we're trying to get it right, and there might be very significant work ahead. But this parsha tells us that's not new. We've always been on the journey. Let's be a good family. Really. Let's be forgiving when we can, and let's hold each other accountable when we must, but never cruel. Never cruel. We've been through enough. It's time for kindness. It's time for family. If we get it right, how beautiful the world will be. Let's do our best. Let's take a breath. Send our hearts to the east. Let's sing Hatikva. Kol ol baleva penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים. עם ישראל חי. Shabbat Shalom, friends. See you on Monday.